Heading into the playoffs, which running back should you drop and which ones are still worth an ad? The Week 14 stock report, that's coming up next. Running backs have generally been pretty good to us here in 2021. And so, they're pretty highly rostered, and there's not too many that you want to get rid of. There's not too much dead weight out there, but there are a handful of guys, and we're going to start in Buffalo. There's a couple guys in Buffalo it's time to get rid of, and honestly, that's going to start with Devin Singletary, who's 71% roster in ESPN leagues. This is a guy who, it's unfortunate, we've seen talent from him in the past, but it really hasn't come to surface here this season. He has had a couple opportunities, hasn't really grabbed hold of this backfield. He has a terrible floor of 3.6 PPR points. That came in Week 13. Now, I understand that was a terrible game, but the fact is, he has a pathetic floor and a pathetic ceiling of 12.9 PPR points, which came in Week 9. So this isn't a guy who really is somebody you've leaned on at all at this point. He's not somebody that you really trust at all. And at this point, going into the playoffs, we need guys that we can trust. I am not at all worried about dropping Devin Singletary, one of my friends picking him up on an opposite league and throwing him in his lineup. In fact, I would be encouraged by that because I would like to play Devin Singletary. And if you want to play against a player, they're not a player you want on your roster. So Devin Singletary, who's unusable through the next 3 weeks, facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers, and the New England Patriots, who just did a number on him. I just not a guy that at any point do I think is usable for the rest of the season. Goodbye, Devin Singletary. Dead weight. We need to put guys on a roster. Even if there's not somebody out on the waiver wire, I still think it's worth to go out there then to get, if you're streaming defenses, get another defense. If you're streaming quarterbacks, go look ahead in the schedule, find a quarterback that's going to do good for you, because that's what you need to do at this point. You're looking to stock up your roster with guys that are going to help you in the playoffs, and by no means is Devin Singletary one of those guys. Another guy that's not one of those guys is Zach Moss, 51% rostered still. There are leagues that you still want to roster him, right? And that's basically Dynasty. That's it, period. That's it. There's still a possibility he has usefulness within a Dynasty format. However, in a redraft format, goodbye. Get the fuck out of here. And by no means are 51% of the rosters out there Dynasty rosters. So what are you guys doing? Get rid of this guy. He's useless. He's literally, this team has lost faith in Zach Moss. He was a healthy scratch in Week 12. It's not the first time in 2021 that he's been a healthy scratch. He's been unable to take advantage of touches when he's been giving the opportunity. He had 10 touches in Week 13, and it was nothing to write home about. I think it was something like 23 yards or something. It gross. And then even if he suits up on Sundays, guess what? He's in a running back by committee. Devin Singletary's still going to get touches. And if Devin Singletary doesn't get touches, Matt Breida's still going to get touches. And then guess what? Oh, maybe they will just decide to make him inactive on game day. Fuck Zach Moss. Get rid of Zach Moss. What's he fucking doing on your roster? Goodbye. Goodbye, Zach Moss. What are we doing, guys? 51% rostered? What are we doing? Let's be smarter than this. He's not going to be useful for you in the playoffs. And then I'll revert back to Devin Singletary's point of unusable the next 3 weeks. Tampa Bay, Carolina, New England. Those are the defenses he's facing the next 3 weeks. Fuck you. Fuck you, Zach Moss. Waste of fucking time. You were trending up, and you know what? You said, fuck you. I want to fucking bottom out and flatline. That's exactly what you did. You are valueless in redraft formats. Zero fucking value for Zach Moss in redraft formats. Here's another guy that's 50% rostered. That's just blowing my fucking mind. And like I said, the running back position has been pretty good to us this year. So most running backs that are rostered are justifiably rostered. But Mike fucking Davis, 50% rostered in ESPN formats, like, has not had double-digit rushes since week 5. They had a bye in week 6. So they obviously made changes coming out of the bye. And those changes were a shit ton more Cordarrelle Patterson and like a sprinkling of Mike fucking Davis. And he does catch a few balls here and there. But the fact is, he only has 2 games since week 5 with more than 7.1 PPR points. Jesse, he just had his best game of the season in week 14 or week 13. Yeah, who gives a fuck? You see how many touches he got? He had like 7 touches. 8 touches. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. It was like they gave I watched that series. All right? He had a big game because Cordarrelle Patterson ripped off a huge run against Tampa Bay. They gave him a quick spell. The next play, they came back with the Mike Davis run. They defended that run about as well as they defended the run before, which was that big Cordarrelle Patterson run. And Mike Davis made a big, I think it was like a 17-yard touchdown run. All right? That's it. That's all he's done since the bye. What are we fucking doing, guys? He had an opportunity to be the lead back when Cordarrelle Patterson, had an ankle injury. Guess what? He didn't get double-digit touches. They used Wayne Gallman. Fucking, who was, Ollison. Ollison came in and got the most touches that week. Like Mike Davis is an afterthought in this offense, and he is not a guy that should be on your roster. Now, here's the exciting point. There are still guys out there in, a decent amount of leagues that are worth gobbling up and having on your roster heading into the playoffs, because the running back position is the one position where there's so much volatility as far as who's worth a damn, and then all of a sudden they're not worth a damn because of an injury, and then somebody else is worth a damn. So there's just so much turnaround at the position because of injury. Before we get going, just like to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like to encourage you to interact in the comment section. Send some guys. You ask if you think should I drop this guy for this guy? I'll let you know. I'll get back to you. That's what I do. I get back to every comment. You have a start sit question, I'll get back to you. It's what I fucking do. It's why I have this channel. It's why I make these videos. I want to help you. With that said, let's move on. Why aren't we adding Devonta Freeman? Dude's still available in 34% of ESPN leagues. He has taken command of the Ravens backfield. Do I think he's an RB1? Fuck no. No. He's a low-end RB2 or a high-end flex, however you want to look at it, specifically in PPR formats. This is a guy, like I said, that has taken command of this backfield. Didn't matter that Latavius Murray came back. This franchise realized and saw the same thing that I saw. He is the most explosive back, not named Tyson Williams, in that backfield. At least the most explosive back that they believe in. And you know what? He was good enough that they said, goodbye, fucking like Le'Veon Bell. You're worthless. We don't need you. We got Devonta Freeman, and he's been the lead back for this offense. He does have a varying passing role. When you look at the last, 5 games, he's had 2 targets, 3 targets, 6 targets, 1 target, and 5 targets. So It's a varying passing role, but he has a lot of upside in PPR formats from that respect. So, like I said, I think he has a very high-end flexibility. And when you look at what he's done, 16.3 points, 18.8, 27, 20.7, the last 5 weeks, that makes him a 60% boom, a 40% bust guy. So, that's a good boom bust flex, but when he's busting, he's not truly busting, right? Some boom bust flexes literally will boom for like 24 points, right? And I'm talking about a guy like Deshaun Jackson, and then the next week will come back and give you like 1.5. And you're like, cool. At least fucking Devonta Freeman's coming back and giving you, 8-ish points. So there is some semblance of you're not beating your head against the wall type of floor and a really good ceiling. This offense, they definitely need Devonta Freeman because they need, with the lack of a offensive line for Lamar Jackson, he has been a little bit more prone to dumping the ball off, hence the game with the 6 receptions and another game with 5 receptions. He is being a little bit more prone recently to dumping off that ball to the running back because he can't wait for the wide receivers to get downfield because this offensive line at this point is so beaten and battered. I believe they have a second string tackle and a third string tackle blocking for Lamar Jackson right now. It's just a fucking mess. So, Devonta Freeman has been a big part of this offense. Another guy who has maybe some opportunity moving forward, who had a big week 13, is Sony Michele, 61% rostered. He was widely added in week 13, and justifiably so. Dude got 24 touches, ran for 121 yards, got a touchdown, was very productive. And, Henderson was a true game time decision. And if Henderson's still dealing with injury, they saw what Sony Michele did. Why not just, in Sony Michele we trust, go back with Michele, have Henderson as a break glass in case of emergency type back, and just kind of ride the hot hand of Sony Michele, and this is a guy who, even with Henderson being there, has had a semblance of a passing game role. So if he's going to be a guy they really ride on, he has a little bit of a passing game role. This is a guy that instantly comes in as a high-end RB2. Now, there is also the opportunity that Darrell Henderson comes back and Sony Michele really isn't worth anything. But because of the volatility in that backfield at the moment, and the fact that Darrell Henderson has had a hard time staying healthy in his entire career, there is a little bit of value for Sony Michele, especially if he gets another start for the LA Rams. So really a guy that I think should be more widely added, along with a guy like Chuba Hubbard, 56% rostered right now, and I think he has value, and just as much value right now in standard as he does in PPR. In fact, he might be more valuable in standard than PPR because we have to think about the fact that Ameer Abdullah is there. They have liked him in a passing game role, and we even saw that right before Christian McCaffrey came back from his last injury, that they did start to insert Ameer Abdullah into the passing game role, and we saw Chuba falling off in that respect. So he really is a guy that just pretty much runs between the tackles. So he does have a little bit of RB2 upside, but more flex upside. We'll see if he develops a little bit more of a passing game role, but there's no more Christian McCaffrey. It's literally going to be Chuba Hubbard and Ameer Abdullah in this backfield. So I do think Ameer Abdullah might actually be worth a mention in here as well as a PPR addition in deeper leagues, but Chuba's going to get the crack at being the starting running back in this backfield, and I think he's worth an add. I will also say he does have tough matchups in the playoffs with Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans. So he's, like I said earlier, he's a guy that is going to get some decent amount of volume opportunity and a flex guy that you have on your roster in case something happens to the rest of your team in the playoffs. So not somebody you're necessarily going to use, but can use come playoff time. How about coming out? They has a bye. He does have a bye in week 14, but I don't really care about that at this point. I am trying to acquire things, acquire talent that will help my roster in the playoffs. Rhamondre Stevenson, another guy at 40% roster right now, has an opportunity possibly coming out of the bye to be the starter for this team. We saw Damian Harris leave Monday night with a hamstring injury. We've seen how long hamstring injuries can sideline running back. So even with the bye, I could see Damian Harris miss multiple weeks. I'm not a doctor. He could come back after the bye. So I'm not saying Damian Harris is going to miss multiple weeks, but I think it's more likely that he misses multiple weeks, kind of like we saw with DeAndre Hopkins, right? He tried to fight through it on that one game. I believe it was with Green Bay, where he tried to fight through it. He played like 25% of the snaps, and then they shut him down through the bye. So hamstring injuries can be tricky, and it's quite possible that Harris gets shut down for a couple weeks. He might go on short-term IR. We don't know yet. But the fact is, Rhamondre Stevenson has an opportunity coming out of the bye at maybe getting a little bit larger role, and we've seen him be productive when he's gotten more opportunity. They are in a run-heavy offense, and then if he does have that opportunity late in the playoffs, that week 17 matchup with Jacksonville in the finals looks so sexy. So if you have Damian Harris, you have Rhamondre Stevenson, both of those guys are guys that I want my roster specifically. I'm like looking at that week 17 matchup going, just licking my chops like, man, that's a great opportunity in the finals if Rhamondre is going to get the start. And how about another guy? Now, so these are bye week guys. Once again, we're not worried about the bye week because we want to fill out the depth of our roster. So I mean, this guy had some good opportunity, was doing pretty well before he got injured, and that is Jordan Howard. Dude's only 10% rostered in ESPN League, so 90% available. He's got a favorable schedule coming out of the bye. And then when we just look at what he's done in 2021, I know last year wasn't sexy. The year before wasn't sexy. All really outside of his rookie year hasn't really been a very good running back. But this year, he has not had a game where he's ran worse than 4.2 yards per carry. Then take into account Miles Sanders injured again. Boston Scott, we don't know why he didn't play last Sunday, but he didn't play last Sunday. He had like 3 snaps, offensive snaps. He did return a kickoff, so he was out there, but he didn't play. Kenneth Gainwell played in front of him. When Miles Sanders went out with another ankle injury, Kenneth Gainwell finished out that game. Boston Scott didn't come in. He played 0 snaps after Miles Sanders exited that game. So Jordan Howard, coming out of the bye, has the ability possibly to be coming back from that injury and be part of the running back rotation in this backfield. And we've seen that value as of late. So he's a guy that has some great value for your roster, for the depth of your roster in the playoffs. And why? Why is he only 10? Well, I know why he's only 10% roster. He was injured, and Miles Sanders came back, and Boston Scott, and blah, blah, blah. But at this point, Miles Sanders back being injured, I think get him while he's on a bye. Don't wait until he comes back, because when he comes back, if you're, for example, a league that has to spend fab, if you have more than a couple bucks left in fab, you're going to have to spend a lot more coming out of the bye than you are when he's on the bye. I'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any start-sit questions, you can leave them in the comment section. If you have any ad drop questions, you can leave them in the comment section. I will get back to you. And then if you have any start-sit questions and you want kind of a panel opinion, I join Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor on 1080 The Fan on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, so a half hour leading up to kickoff. You can text in your start-sit questions to 503-250-1080. We'll answer them live on the air. You can listen live on Odyssey.com. I will have a link to their live stream in the description below. Again, thank you for watching, and make sure to watch my Week 14 wide receiver stock watch as well.